Good morning, Veritas All-Stars. Here's today's All-Star Challenge for June 4th, 2020. It's Thursday. This is question 4 in your Google Classroom assignment. So this is something we haven't done yet. I did it with UMass a little bit with some of the All-Star kids in my class, but most of you have not seen this yet. So I'm really excited to see how well you guys did with this. All right. So I personally believe that this is the hardest thing for 5th graders to learn in math. They're very confusing. They can be complicated. You have to really think carefully for any of these unit conversions. All right, so I honestly do think that when we teach this every year, I think this is the hardest thing for kids to get. So don't be frustrated if you have a hard time with these today. We'll keep practicing them and you'll get there soon, okay? So number 4, let's get started. Which of the following conversions, convert means to change. So conversions are basically changing units. Okay, so they're going to be two different units, grams, milligrams, grams, kilograms, right? Milligrams, grams, kilograms, grams. So we're basically changing units and we're seeing which ones of these are true, are correct. So which of the following conversions are correct? Select the 2 correct answers. So in big letters here, I'm going to write choose 2 and I'm going to put a cloud around it so I don't forget. Okay, choose 2. Because you know how that goes. You get excited, you found one that was right, you work real hard for it, and then you say, there's the right answer, and you forget to choose 2. If you don't choose 2, you don't get credit for any of them, right? You have to either get both of them right, or you don't get any credit for it. So you got to be super careful with these ones, because if you choose one that's right and one that's wrong, you don't get credit for the one that's right. So you have to be extra careful that both of them are correct. Okay? So here's the way that I've always taught this. This always seems to make sense for kids. We're going to look at the unit. Now we're going from grams to milligrams here. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to first look at the unit and the number of them. You need to decide which unit is smaller, because if the smaller unit's going to need more of them in order to equal the bigger unit. You're going to need less of the big unit than you do for the small unit, right? If you had, say this was a kilogram and this was a gram, right? You're going to need, this is a smaller unit. So for them to be equal, you're going to need more of them, right? You're going to need a lot more of these to equal one of these, right? So kilograms is a bigger unit. You're going to need less of them. Okay, so try to make sense of that for a second. A smaller unit, you're going to need a lot more of them to equal another unit. A bigger unit, you're going to need a lot less of them because they're bigger. Okay? So let's go through here. So let me give you these. You need to know these 2 conversions. They will not give you this on your reference sheet. This is something that you need to know, and we're going to have to just practice in order to learn it. So 1 gram is 1,000 milligrams. Okay, so milligrams are a smaller unit because 1,000 of them equals 1 gram. Okay, so milligrams are smaller unit. So like I said, you're going to need more of them to get to this bigger unit. Okay, or 1/1000th of a gram is 1 milligram, right? You need 1,000 milligrams to get to 1 gram. Okay, so 1/1000th of a gram is 1 milligram. Okay, that's another way of thinking about it. Now let's look at kilograms. Kilograms are the opposite. So kilograms are much bigger. They're 1,000 times bigger. So a milligram is 1,000 times smaller. Kilogram is 1,000 times bigger. Okay, so gram is, in this case, a smaller unit. So you're going to need a lot more of them. And notice how this bigger unit has a smaller number. Right? Bigger unit has 1. Smaller unit has 1,000. So that's the way that I always start to look at it, is look at which unit is bigger, because the smaller unit's going to need more of them. All right, so let's take that as we go into this problem. So first, we're just going to find out which one is that true about. Which one matches like that the smaller unit has more of them than the bigger unit should have smaller than. So I'm just going to go through first, before I even find whether these are the right answers, I'm going to cross off the ones that I know are wrong, because this isn't true about the statement here. Okay, so 2 grams or 2,000 milligrams. Like we said, milligrams are the smaller unit. So since milligrams are smaller unit, we need to have a bigger number of them. Bigger unit, smaller number of them. So this could be, I'm just going to put a little line right there. That could be the right answer, but I'm not quite ready to dig into it yet. Now let's look at grams versus kilograms. Kilograms are the bigger unit. Okay? Kilograms are the bigger unit, so you need to have a smaller number of them. 0.02 is smaller than 2, right? Smaller unit, grams, should have a bigger number of them. 2 is bigger than 0.02 or 0.02. So this could be right also. I'm not quite ready to go dig deep into it, but I'm going to just put a little line here saying that might be right. At least this idea of the bigger unit has a smaller number, the smaller unit has a bigger number. That's all I'm going for right now on my first time through. Okay, now let's go to C. So milligrams are the smaller unit, like I wrote over here. Milligrams are smaller than grams. So you need to have a bigger number of the smaller unit, right? You need to have a bigger number of these than the number of grams, because grams are a bigger unit, you need a smaller number. So notice how this one is not true. This one has the smaller unit, milligrams, has a smaller number of them. 0.002 is much smaller than just 2. And grams are a bigger unit, and it has a bigger number of them. 2 is bigger than 0.002. So that can't be correct. Okay? Because the bigger unit needs to have a smaller number when in fact 2 is a bigger number than 0.002. So right away I know C isn't right, can't be right. I'm just using that mentality of smaller unit, bigger number. Bigger unit, smaller number. Okay? Now let's go to D. Milligrams, grams. So we got milligrams is a smaller unit than grams. So smaller unit needs a bigger number of them. Bigger unit needs a smaller number of them. And again, this is not true because the smaller unit has 20. The bigger unit should have less than 20, but this says 2,000. So this one has the bigger unit having bigger number of them. That can't be true. So we know D is not possibly right. Let's check E because we need to select 2 correct. So if we can cancel E off, then we're going to know A and B are right. But let's check. So kilograms is a bigger unit than grams. Kilograms, bigger unit. Grams are smaller unit. Kilograms is a bigger unit. It should have a smaller number. Grams is a smaller unit. It should have a bigger number. So that's true. That does work out, right? Bigger unit, smaller number. Smaller unit, bigger number. So that could be right. So now we're down to 3 that could be right. I still haven't even gotten to the point where I'm going to cross that one off. So now let's start again. We know C and D are wrong. Now we got to find which 2 of these are actually correct. So let's look over here. 1 gram is 1,000 milligrams. So 2 grams is going to be 2,000 milligrams, right? 1 gram is 1,000, so 2 grams is 2,000. Yes, that is true. So far, A is the first correct answer we found. Now let's go to B. 2 grams is 0.02 kilograms. So let's do 2.0 grams. And this says that it's equal to 0.02 kilograms. 0.02 kilograms. Okay? So I'm just kind of made like a little place value chart here. So I'm noticing that the 2's are only 2 place values away from each other, right? This would be in the 1's place. So this 2 is 100 times bigger than this one. And we know that it needs to be 1,000 times bigger. So if you look at these places, the places are only 2 spots apart. 1s, tenths, hundredths. There are no hundredths here. Okay, so these place values are only 2 places apart, meaning that it's only 100 times bigger rather than needs to be 1,000 times bigger. All right, so it's not 1,000 times bigger because the 2 would have to be in the thousands place. It would have to be 0.002 for it to be 1,000 times bigger. And since this is just 0.02, that means it's only 100 times bigger. So that is not correct. So B is wrong, right? 2, you only have to move it over 2 place values, 1, 2, to get it over to 0.02. That means it was 100 times bigger. So that can't work. All right, so that one's wrong. We know now that E is going to be the right answer, but let's make sure. 20 kilograms is 20,000 grams. So 1 kilogram is 1,000 grams. So 20 kilograms would be 20,000 grams, right? Grams are there's 1,000 grams for 1 kilogram. Okay, so it's 1,000 times bigger. 20 times 1,000 is 20,000. So that is also correct. So really tough problem. Those are the ones that when you see these unit conversions, I'm telling you, they're tricky. A and E are the correct answers. You see how much work we put into that to make sure that those were the correct answers. So I encourage you to use that train of thought. Find out which unit is smaller because you need more of those. Find out which unit is bigger because you need less of those. And that's kind of where I started. And then I worked slowly through to figure out which one was not correct and which two were correct. So the correct answers here were A and E. Give yourself some snaps. Nice work. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.